There are many great things to see in western North Carolina, but no trip to the mountains would be complete without a visit to Mount Mitchell. Today we know Mount Mitchell as the tallest point east of the Rockies, but until the mid-1800s, the question, what is the tallest peak in the Blue Ridge Mountains, was still unanswered. Our story today is about a man who gave his life to answer that question. This is the story of a man named Mitchell and his mountain. The Blue Ridge Mountains are some of the oldest mountains in the world, at nearly 1 billion years old. When they were young, they were some of the tallest mountains in the world, rivaling the Himalayas in size, but millions of years of erosion have taken their toll. Today, the highest peak is Mount Mitchell, at just 6,684 feet tall. Mount Mitchell sits in a section of the Blue Ridge known as the Black Mountains, and was discovered by a biologist and Presbyterian minister by the name of Elisha Mitchell. Elisha Mitchell was born in 1783 in Connecticut and attended Yale University as a theology student. Mitchell came to North Carolina as part of the 1825 North Carolina Geologic Survey. He later taught chemistry, mineralogy, and geology at the University of North Carolina while serving as a Presbyterian minister. Mitchell first saw the Black Mountains in 1827. At the time, it was believed that Grandfather Mountain was the highest point in the Blue Ridge. But Mitchell came to believe that the Black Mountains may actually surpass them. He was confident enough that in 1829 he noted that he thought the Blacks to be the highest point between the Gulf of Mexico and New Hampshire's White Mountains. Mitchell returned to the region in 1835 to do a more thorough survey. He ended up summiting all of the contenders for the highest peak, using barometric pressure and temperature readings to calculate their height. When he had finished, he had found that the Black Mountains were, in fact, the highest point in the eastern United States. Mitchell's discovery quickly came under attack. A senator by the name of Thomas Clingman ascended the Blacks and took his own measurements. Clingman also found the same highest point as Mitchell and claimed it as his own, dubbing it Clingman's Peak. When Mitchell read about Clingman's claim, he rushed to defend his discovery. In 1857, Mitchell returned to western North Carolina with a small party to retrace his original route up to the peak. On June 27th, Mitchell set out into the woods alone, presumably planning to meet with a former guide who he had worked with on a previous expedition. Mitchell hiked his way up to the peak, but night was approaching, and a sudden storm hit just as Mitchell was trying to descend the mountain. He quickly became lost and attempted to follow a creek down the mountain to safety. In the darkness and rain, the already hazardous terrain of the Appalachians quickly became deadly. Mitchell slipped on the rugged terrain above a waterfall and fell 40 feet, hitting his head on the rocks below. The force of the impact broke Mitchell's watch. Stopping it at the moment, he lost consciousness and sunk into the deep pool beneath the waterfall. Elisha Mitchell drowned at 8:19 p.m. on June 27, 1857. Mitchell lost his life defending his discovery, but in the end, science would prove him right. The 1881 to 1882 U.S. Geological Survey verified Mitchell's measurements, officially proclaiming the peak to be the highest point in the eastern United States. The peak was named Mount Mitchell in his honor. In 1858, Elisha Mitchell was laid to rest in a tomb atop the mountain which now bears his name. He may not have lived to see his discovery recognized, but today, thousands of people come to see the mountain which he put on the map.